I welcome you all to our monthly broadcast at Anselmo Academy of Music and the Arts, and greatly appreciate you tuning in support of this initiative. Today, we present concert pianist Asiya Korepanova. Her life is filled with colossal projects, from her concert career to arrangements and transpositions to composition and much, much more. Welcome, Isaac. Please say hello.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's our honor. We will be sharing our guest bio, photos, videos, dialogue, and more in just a second. First, we have brief announcements from Anselmo Academy. By the way, you just heard Asa perform excerpt we shared for performing Rachmaninoff Sonata Number 1 in D minor, Opus 28. Our summer enrollment is open for private lessons. Summer semester ends on Labor Day, so as long as you finish all the lessons you're interested in before then you're good to go, and we're happy to help you with some summer lessons at your convenience. Please connect with us at our website, anselmoacademy.org. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization celebrating, we just celebrated our 24-year anniversary in early June, and we're looking forward to our quarter of a century, so to speak, celebration this coming school year. We primarily specialize in organizing group classes at local schools and community centers throughout New York and New Jersey. Our programming varies from general music to small group piano, violin, guitar, voice, musical theater, recorder, choir, and drama. Feel free to reach out to us if you have interest in any type of programming that we offer. We subsidize some programs, as I said, throughout New York and New Jersey, and happy to establish any new relationships coming up for this school year. Coming up in August, we have a master class that we will feature in the form of this type of broadcast, and stay tuned for more information about that. Please subscribe to our social media platforms and subscribe to our two e-newsletters that you could find at our website, anselmoacademy.org, on the homepage, bottom right, where we list not only our internal programming schedules and events, but also programs like this one today, where we invite guest artists to share the musical journey. We hope you enjoy our program today. Great. Can we please have Asia's profile picture on the screen as I go through her bio? Asa is a multifaceted artist. She's a concert pianist with huge repertoire. She's a composer, a visual artist, and poet. And she performed the complete Rachmaninoff solo piano works within the composer's 150th anniversary year in 2023. And her repertoire is encompassing over 60 piano concertos and solo works, ranging from early Baroque music to living composers. She is known for performing complete collections of works, such as 24 listitudes or the entire Well-Tempered Clavier by Bach. As a pianist and composer, she draws her musical inspiration from the legacy of Dmitri Shostakovich, having studied composition under his direct disciple, Albert Lehman. She is the author of original works in multiple genres and instrumentations. Her transcriptions of Richard Strauss, Ein Heldenleben, Rachmaninoff Cello Sonata, Tchaikovsky Manfred Symphony, Mussorgsky Songs and Dances of Death have placed her among today's formidable transcribers. The most recent composition events include the world premiere recording of Asia's concerto for alto saxophone and piano called Poem, performed by Thomas Giles and Liana Alodzi-Haron. The publication of her transcription of Rachmaninoff cello sonata, the premiere for piano quintet called I Marvel at the Sky, commissioned by the Third Dimension Music Festival, and the premiere of Con Brio for two pianos performed with her duo partner Ilya Kazantsev as part of the Dranov two piano foundation series. Ase is an avid chamber musician and she collaborates with a wide array of musicians. Her partners include David Schifrin, the Hermitage Piano Trio, Milena Baharova-Lestat, Rodney Marsalis, Svetoslav Stoyanov, Zora Schmidt, and Alexander Peterstein. She regularly performs as part of the 88 by 20 piano duo with her friend and former classmate, who I already mentioned, Grammy-nominated pianist Ilya Kazantsev. In her artistic expression, Ase is also sought after her work as a visual artist and poet. She have created a project that culminated in combining her poetry, her visual art, and performance. Such projects included Liszt Transcendental Etudes, Bach Well-Tempered Clavier, Tchaikovsky, 18 Warsaw Opus 72, and most recently, Mussorgsky's pictures at an exhibition. In 2017, Asya founded Music for Minds, a nonprofit organization that brings classical performances into classrooms and creates music festivals featuring unique programming. From 2017 through 2019, she directed her brainchild, Festival Baltimore, a 2-week chamber music series and summer academy dedicated to the performance and study of complete cycles, one of Music and Mind's projects. Isaac is born in Ijevsk, Russia, to a musical family and began learning the piano at the age of 4 under the tutelage of her mother, Soraya, who was her first piano teacher. And at the age of 6, she was taught to read music in orchestral class by her father, Sergei, an exemplary composer. And she started composing her own music at that time. At the age of 9, she made her orchestral debut playing Mozart Concerto Number 8 with her own cadenza and gave her first full philharmonic recital. As a result of her early bond with composition, she specializes and appreciates new music. In Russia, she premiered 3 piano concertos by Vladislav Kazenin and Shamil Timurbulatov, performing with the Svetlanov Symphony Orchestra, the St. Petersburg Capella Symphony Orchestra, the Ural Philharmonic Orchestra, and the Tatarstan National Symphony Orchestra. In the US, she has premiered various works by Michael Dougherty, Thomas Lieber, and Orlando Garcia, among others. Throughout her early years in Russia, she received various awards for her prodigious abilities. This include the Russian Federation Presidential Award for Exceptional Achievement in the Arts, the National Award from the Republic of Udmurtia in 2002, the Germany Berliner Salon Award 2003, the Russia Youth Triumph Award 2005, and the title of Honored Artist of Udmurtia in 2009. In 2012, Asya moved to the United States at the invitation of renowned pianist and maestro Santiago Rodriguez to earn a doctoral degree under his guidance at the University of Miami. Later that year, she was awarded gold medal at the Nina Weidman International Piano Competition, an achievement that proved invaluable in establishing her concertizing career in the US. In 2017, she added a University of Miami Artist Diploma degree to her portfolio, having earned it in studios of Kevin Kenner and Tian Yang. She has performed at well-known venues like Stern Auditorium at Carnegie Hall, the Phillips Collection, the Newport Classical Festival, Miami International Piano Festival, San Francisco International Piano Festival, and many other notable series, symphony orchestra, and festivals throughout the country. She has been featured on CNN, NPR station, WFMT, and WETA. In 2025, Isa makes her debut at a Tippett Rise concert series, brings her beloved Amy Beach Piano Concerto to New York City in performance with Pegasus the Orchestra, returned to San Francisco Piano Festival, Master Players Concert Series in Delaware, Vashon Center for the Arts, Friends of Chamber Music in Miami, Most Arts Music Festival, and others. In June, she directs the inaugural Flatiron Festival, a two-week chamber series in Manhattan, New York City. Asa and her husband Dimitri reside in a Forest Ridge, Boston suburb, where she has unlimited time and hours of the day to practice or listen to music. And she's an avid runner, hiker, and advocate for a healthy lifestyle. I love how you ended this. Uh, and we are going to next play Asia's second excerpt of Clara Schumann Piano Concerto in A minor, Opus 7. Take a look. Wonderful. We now move to the dialogue portion of this broadcast. I have sent you some questions, so let's begin. So first question, straightforward. Tell us about your journey. What were your dreams in the childhood, your inspirations, your teachers, anything you'd like to share? Go ahead.
Well, I grew up in a family of musicians, and my mom and my dad, despite ending up teaching me to play an instrument and to understand music and to love music and to be curious about music, initially they did not have any intentions of making me into a musician. Life at that time was
Oops.
difficult enough,
Yeah.
and, they did not probably wish a musical journey upon me, so they thought I would go in some more stable way. But of course, I was dreaming into becoming a ballerina, as many do growing up. But I was about 3. Of course, I vaguely remember that, but my mom was practicing. She had recitals coming up. She was playing solo works, and she was also an avid chamber musician. And so she did a lot of practicing of solo and chamber repertoire. And we were living in Moscow because I was born in Ijevsk, but uh, around the time when I was maybe 1.5, we returned to Moscow because my parents were doing their doctoral studies in Moscow Conservatory and then in Gnesian Academy. And so we were there. I was going to my mom's my dad's rehearsals with them for different things. And so I was about 3 when apparently I started pushing my mother out of her chair when she was practicing, or would take her seat if she would leave the instrument and do some housework, and I would go there, pretend I'm practicing, and then would completely scream if somebody would try to put me away, and would say, "This is my time to practice, my time to practice." So my time to practice eventually led to piano lessons and things, and the rest is history, really, because I was immersed in musical lifestyle of my parents so deeply. I never really thought of any other kind of life possible. So to me, being in music, in the arts, and doing something uh, along the lines of playing an instrument was something that was completely inseparable from my understanding of who I am. I have to also add to the picture that my dad was always listening to a lot of music in his spare time. So we had an LP player, of course, and a number of recordings, and he was regularly listening to a wide array of genres and styles and periods of music. And so I got completely obsessed. The Manfred Symphony that I transcribed and made into solo piano transcriptions was one of my first childhood crushes. I was 6 and I was playing. I already knew how to put a record and start it and whatever. And so I listened to it so much that I destroyed the record and they had to find another one because I couldn't stop. I could listen to it like 3-4 times in a row, just being completely enamored by that music. So this path was pretty much obvious for me, even despite the fact that I didn't go to school as into elementary school. There were some family circumstances that, oh my God, I got something into my eye and now my eye is crying.
I thought you started to cry, actually.
No, 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 no. There's something got in my eye.
Um,
No, I'm not
yeah.
crying. No. I haven't gotten to any part of my story that
Yeah, not yet, yes.
Korean, I'm sorry. But I didn't go to school because my grandparents were my mom's mom, who lived in Kazan because my mom is from Kazan. She was having a battle with cancer around the time when I had to go, about to go to the first grade. And so we were going back and forth and helping her out. And so I ended up actually never going to kindergarten and never going to elementary school. And my first encounter with the regular school was I went to the fourth grade to Central Music School in Moscow. And I was homeschooled before that, which at the time was unheard of. And many
Mm.
people told my mom that she is legitimately crazy and that she's ruining her child. And she found a way to register me as if I have completed some courses, and so on paper it was looking fine. But she definitely created her own program for me at home. So I was reading poetry, and my job every day was to pick a poem that I like by any poet and copy it by hand into my notebook. So I spent years basically reading in the morning a few poems, choosing which one I would want to copy, making choices about which one speaks the best to me. And so it was just major poets, of course, Pushkin and Lermontov, Annensky and Khodasevich, and
Mhm.
lots of different voices. And so, of course, that also got my mind kind of thinking rhythmically, and I started, of course, writing
Mm.
my own poetry.
Mhm.
And
Good
I
point. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and I was reading anything that I could get my hands on. There was no restriction on that, so I started reading really advanced adult literature very, very early on. Loved it. There's a family anecdote about me reading Divine Comedy when I was 7, loving it so much that I read it again. After that, of course, I was drawing my own, ideas about how everything that looks, how the hell and heaven looks was in all my childhood pictures. So it was a very unusual form of upbringing, but I after I came to school at the age 10, I realized that, oh, I already know the entire course of music history until 11th grade. I don't really have to sit on those classes because I already know that music very well, all these operas and symphonies and everything. Oh, I actually already read most of the literature that is offered throughout the school. So it was just a little bit bizarre, and I was sitting in the art history classes, being completely bewildered how the kids were laughing at ancient sculptures being naked or something. What kids do. I was just so offended. I was just 10-year old, just like how dare you. So it was just unusual. And then there was of course a long period of life where I was establishing myself at the Central Music School. I was studying both as a pianist and a composer, and I was studying with Albert Semyonovich Lemon, who used to be Shostakovich's student, but he also was a teacher of my father back in the days. And so it was very interesting, sort of family legacy relationship for us. And he unfortunately passed away when I was 14 years old. But those 4 years that I got to study with him were really, really formative because he put me through the same training as back in the days everyone had to do. I had to write fugues, I had to write string quartets, I had to write sonata forms, I had to write all of these things, finding my own language, not trying to copying anyone else, but knowing how to operate in these old forms, which was amazing because he told me you never are going to be a good composer if you only are going to write music that depicts something else, which was at the time already a trend among younger generation of composers. Kids were allowed to write programmatic pieces, and he's like, never try to write a symphonic poem, a tone poem, before you wrote several sonatas and a proper symphony. So he was a very, very old school, but it was incredibly helpful for me in so many ways, especially regarding the fugues. You know, I was 11, 12. I had this book of two, three, four voice fugues. Some of them are double fugues that I was writing. And to do that, of course, I had to study what the form is and understand how things are made and what is the variety in the polyphonic language, what can you do with inversions and the recurring things, and all of the intricacies of the counterpoint. I ended up getting quite comfortable with writing my own fugues, and that influenced my ability to remember, to absorb, understand, and memorize any polyphonic material really quickly.
Do you
So,
have any of this published?
no, I do not have any of these published, but I'm thinking of publishing a few, because the few of them I'm actually quite, despite the written so many years ago, some of them written in a way that if I don't tell you I was 12, you probably won't guess. And it's
Send them to me
absolutely, I
if you
will.
can. Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's interesting because when you are tasked with writing something yourself, your mind gets on the other side, right? And so you need to properly space your material. You need to understand what the form is very, very deeply. So then it influences you as a performer, because you look at the page and you see, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is the structure. It instantly makes you a much better recognizer of whatever structure that are in front of you as a performer, which I am endlessly grateful for. And so, yeah, and then I went to Moscow Conservatory after that. Well, I briefly left Central Music School and studied in another institution before conservatory, because I wanted to study with Professor Lisa Versaladze, who was ready to take me before conservatory but didn't want to teach at the Central Music School. So I ended up studying with her before conservatory a couple of years, and then spent 3 years in Moscow Conservatory, and then 2 years in St. Petersburg Conservatory. And then after a short break, I came to United States in 2012.
Great. Fantastic story.
This is very brief, but still, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Um, you kind of answered already question number 2 that I sent you. Um, so share about your upcoming events, right? I've listed a lot of events that you recently had, but what are your upcoming events in summer and on?
Oh, I'm so lucky. I have a very busy and uplifting summer in front of me. In 10 days, I'm playing Rachmaninoff Third Concerto in upstate New York at the annual Most Arts Festival.
Where is that?
It is in Alfred, New York. It's not far from Rochester. It's about
I'm going to Rochester.
oh, fantastic.
When is your concert?
I'm performing July 15th.
Uh, yeah, we're not there. We're not there yet. Yeah,
And
I would have
that's
attended
what
otherwise. Yeah.
what I wanted also to mention, and that I think it would be very relevant to you and to your listeners. Most Arts Festival is a week-long festival that features orchestral concerts and young pianist competition, which is fantastic. It's a competition for pianists up to 18 years old. It features 2 stages. Well, there's a preliminary video selection,
Mhm.
and there is a first stage in which you play an hour-long recital of different works. And then you, in the second stage, which is the final, you're playing either first or the second and third movements of Mozart concerto with orchestra. And that's the final of this competition. And whoever is winning is getting a hefty monetary prize, which is this year is $10,000,
Great.
and return next year as a soloist to perform on the opening night of the festival any concerto that you want.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
I have been, this is my third year at this festival. I'm one of the judges of the festival. Also, I participate in the selection of the contestants. And also, I'm a featured artist to play this year Rachmaninoff First Concerto. And then the week after, on July 23rd, I'm in Boston making my debut at the Boston's Esplanade Hat Show. which is the outdoor venue, a little bit like um, the concept is close to, you know, Tanglewood or Hollywood Bowl. It's an outdoor venue where everyone can sit, large quantities of people can sit, and it's a open air concert. I'm playing Amy Beach Piano Concerto, which I'm extremely excited about because Amy Beach Concerto was premiered in Boston in 1901, and I couldn't really find any traces of this work being performed in recent decades. She, Amy Beach herself, premiered her concerto with Boston Symphony in 1901 and then returned to play it again in 1917. And I don't think Boston Symphony ever played
Mm,
this again, which is unfortunate because of very, very beautiful work. And so I'm so happy that I will be playing this big, big outdoor open air concert and bring this work to a larger audience. Then in August, I have different travels. I'm playing a set of complete etudes tableau in concerts in Florida, in Boston, and then finishing up making my debut at Tippett Rise Art Center, which is this incredible concert series and an art center in Montana.
mm.
It's just unbelievable institution because it features a concert hall where every uh, August and September, there are concert series that bring amazing musicians there, but also they have an outdoor vast space in the mountains where a lot of arts installations are permanently living, and it's just unbelievable and such a eerie and unusual and in every way incredible place. So I'm very, very excited to go there. Yeah,
Fantastic.
uh,
Hmm.
and I'm finishing up the summer at the San Francisco Piano Festival, where I'm playing a French program on August 29, and then joining fellow colleague, composer, and pianist Paul Sanchez, and we're playing
Hmm.
Ravel's duo works and some of Chabrier and some of the other composers that were planning around Ravel's Rhapsody Espagnole and other works that we're doing.
Fantastic. So tell us about your other passions, especially, right, your poetry and your visual as a visual artist, and you combine it all with your concert piano performance. How did this all come about? And how did you think of putting this all together? I think would be interesting to hear.
I would say that there are days where I'm thinking, well, it would be cool to live half a year as a visual artist full time. There's something that brings me a lot of joy. It's very the process of drawing or painting is a very meditative process. It kind of when you're focusing on a single line, it is even more concentrating than when you are practicing even something as emotional as Rachmaninoff's Third Concerto, for instance, because you really need to follow your how your line goes on paper. So it's a very special feeling when you do that. So I always loved drawing. I was growing up as a hyperactive child, so my poor mom had to distract me with different activities. So it started as one of the things that she was able to introduce me to, just so I don't jump around and make a lot of noise. And I ended up loving it a lot. And then my parents were collecting, and some friends have given them wonderful catalogs of different art museums. So growing up, I eventually started copying some of the works that I saw in those, and always loved drawing, always loved just fantasizing about different kind of world, I guess, in that process. But until my early 20s, I would say, I never really thought of a direct correlation because I never really thought of illustrating anything. But then my poetic journey, which I briefed you a little bit on, also started early, and I was writing my poetry also completely independently. Then in time when I was initially putting together 12 transcendental etudes to be played as a cycle, I was just thinking a lot about the very vivid imagery that Liszt has in those, the Mazepa, for instance, or Vision, or Chasse-Neige, all these programs behind these etudes that are so vivid. And I think I saw someone's performance of French masterpieces by Ravel and Debussy, paired with Monet and Renoir and some Seurat and some of the masterpieces of the Impressionism that were just paired as projections with the music, and it was wonderful and lovely, and many people do that, and I really thought it was very atmospheric. And suddenly I thought this something about the transcendental etudes, thinking about how cool it would be to have something that matches the images of the sound image of music in the list. And there's no anything visually that really is an obvious match, such as Ravel and Debussy matching Monet. And so it kind of got me thinking, and so I started thinking, it would be cool to have sort of a visual commentary. And my primary medium is ink, and I always felt ink is very colorful because the texture and the articulation of the ink pen can have many ideas that make the image colorful to you, even though it's black and white. So I started doodling around, and then doodling, and then started having ideas of poetry. And eventually I was just like, I could actually perform all of that. So my very first performance, which was it was back in 2007, I think. Yeah, back in 2007, I had this concert where I was presenting my drawings, my ink images, and my poetry in recital. And that was years before I came to United States, years before I met my wonderful, phenomenal professor, Santiago Rodriguez, who, besides many other things, really was a shining example for me about stage speaking, which I was terrible before. I really learned from him how to be comfortable talking and playing, because before that, for me, it was like such a difficult task where you have to play, then you have to say something, and then focus on these two different tasks. It was just such a difficult task for me. I was terrible. I was really terrible. So being that terrible, I attempted to recite my own poetry before each of the transcendental etudes. That was one of the hardest recitals I've ever had to do, because I was not in the shape or habit of doing anything like this. So it was crazy. And I've done that before, of course. And by now, for me to speak about the music I'm playing from stage is a second nature. I don't even think about it. It's not anything that would bother me in any way. But it was answering your question. Yes, it was kind of gradual arrival to this point. But then after I've done that, I thought, and then and then there were other things that I'd done. I didn't do poetry, but I did visual art for well-tempered clavier. I did mixed techniques with watercolor and uh, oil pastel, and also ink for 18 character pieces of Tchaikovsky's Opus 72, which is 18 pieces. And then the most recent project was pictures at an exhibition, my own pictures for the pictures at an exhibition, which I have recently performed quite a bit. And it's a very interesting way of thinking of music, even though when I'm actively playing a piece for which I have a drawing, when I'm playing, I do not necessarily think visually, and I'm not trying to depict the drawing that I've done. I still think of something else, but that something else, you can't draw that. It's still another world of association, but I'm glad that I'm able to have a commentary that provides a listener with something external to think about.
So, focusing on what you just said, if you can't draw what you're thinking about, what is it then?
You know, music has a myriad of colors, a myriad of intervals, a myriad of motifs. Each of them can have in your mind associations with other pieces of music, with moments from your life when you were hearing that for the first time and when you were learning that. I definitely have a lot of personal memories associated with music when I'm playing, and I have. It's just a multi-layered experience. It's like how can you portray a 5D, a five-dimensional space, right? It's just so many things at the same time. It's very intense. So to put it into two-dimensional space, you can do, and it would be just one fraction of many. Let's put it this way.
Great. Um, I don't know if I want to cover necessarily all the questions I sent you. Um, let's see. Um, so what is success for you? What does it mean?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think success is something that can have one answer, because there are definitely many aspects of success. You know, for someone, success can mean recognition. For somebody, success can mean whether you are able to support yourself being a full-time musician. For somebody, success means admiration of your colleagues or admiration of your audiences. But for me, I would say I have different sides that I consider successful for my work. I am the happiest when I know I've done something closest to the ideal I have in my head. That's definitely makes me the happiest, because we practice, and let's put it this way, we all practice. Some practice more, some practice less, some practice
Some don't practice.
some don't practice. But if you
Yeah.
if you're somebody who, as myself, in the performing arts world, and you have to work on certain things, we practice and we want a certain quality, and we want our performance to have certain features. We want to be able to be both very professional and very polished, but also emotionally want to move our audience and all these things. And we all know that we're all human beings, and when we go on stage, there's inevitably little something that didn't just go quite well. There's always little, like in the most precious and perfect performance that you can hear live, there still would be one or two notes missed. I mean, I'm just putting it as missed note is the most obvious something that you can pick on, even though missed note is missed note, but sometimes like your phrasing didn't go quite as successfully.
Hmm.
You didn't have the right color, or you were battling with the instrument and it didn't give you quite the shades that you wanted. There are so many things that you can lose in the process. So I'm the happiest when I get out the most of what I wanted. That gives me real joy, because it is really hard to be in a space where you are both uh, accurate and precise to the text, but also free in that text, free to be emotional yourself, free to move your audience, free to have complete control over the instrument that you have, which is for pianists is of course a separate topic. We don't travel with our own instruments. So I really cherish that. I really cherish when I have emotional audience members. And I have this joke that I have for myself. It's kind of silly. It was like, if nobody cried after your concert, it was a bad concert. Because I do play a lot of emotionally charged music. And if you're playing Rachmaninoff, or you play Bach, or you play Brahms or Chopin, there are definitely different ways to play them. You can play them in a more brilliant and kind of like dazzling way. You can play them more introspectively. In every work, you can choose a path to take. But if you have somebody who was moved to tears listening to a piece of music, that means you made a difference in that person's life, because people would applaud to, if you, oh, how fast you play, your fingers move so quickly. We all hear that. But people tend to remember about the music the most, not when you play fast and loud and dazzling.
Correct. Hmm.
They remember most when they were like shaken to their core, which makes
Hmm.
up and tear. So for me, it is a success as a musician for the field of music when somebody moved to tears, because that means they would remember this experience and they would want to come and hear more music. And then our concert halls will be filled with audience members who want those experiences. That is very, very important. And of course, for me, success also means when I get to play in beautiful venues in different countries, in different states, such as Stipetrice, where I'm going, for instance, which is going to be my first performance there. That is, of course, a very joyful moment. Or when I was making my Carnegie Hall debut, I definitely heard a voice of my mom telling me when I was a little girl, if you practice well, go practice, and then you'll be in Carnegie Hall. I'm just like, well, I guess I practiced well.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's move now to our picture gallery. Tell us a little bit about each one as we go through them.
Well, this is my first promotional picture. Just kidding. This was upright piano in the home of my grandparents, my father's parents. And definitely loved to explore how it sounds. In this picture, I'm one, maybe 13 months or something, and I cannot really walk by myself yet, but I can stand supporting myself, and definitely can reach and make some music. And uh, for that, I actually want to add a little story. My mom, when she was pregnant with me, she did a tour with her duo partner, a wonderful violinist, and they did late Beethoven violin sonatas. together. And they, of course, practice the Kreutzer a lot because it's the most difficult one among the last three. And uh, then she took a break from practicing performing. Of course, she was very pregnant by then. Then she had me, and a time passed. And at the same point, when I was already crawling around, but couldn't walk yet, but was crawling quite successfully. In the Soviet Union, there was a tradition when some prominent figure in the government dies, they would, in mourning, they would shut down the TV stations, the programming, and they would put black screen and would run classical music throughout the day as an act of mourning. So it was one of those days, and the TV was on, and there was different performances by wonderful artists of different music. And all of a sudden, they put on a Kreutzer Sonata. And I am on my blanket playing with my toys or doing something in a completely different room. So Kreutzer Sonata starts, and my grandparents and my mom said that I put my head up and I recognized the music, and I crawled from different room to the living room and sat like this in front of the TV that was playing Kreutzer Sonata, as if I was really, 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 really familiar with this work. I have to add that my mom has not played the piece after I was born, but she was playing the piece when she was maybe 6, 7 months pregnant with me. And so this photo is not very far in time, maybe 4 months or 3 months after those events, when I was, glued to that TV station. So the piano is actually staying in the same room where the TV was.
Great, wonderful, great story.
This is a picture from my first full recital that I was playing. I'm 9, and I'm very nervous. And it was in Izhevsk Philharmonic Society. And I was playing a number of works. I was playing a Mozart sonata. I was playing some Bach, and I was playing Chopin waltzes, and I was playing, I think, a short piece by Liszt also, and something by Schumann. But it was a very, very interesting solitary moment for me, being on that stage completely alone and not followed by anyone and not being preceded by anyone, but just doing my thing. So this is this picture is a picture that I sent to my professor Santiago Rodriguez, whose picture is on the back of my tank top, which I made. This is my this is my DIY way of having fun. He always had this very distinctive way of saying "go practice" at the end of lessons that I had with him. And so at some point, we were having a photo shoot at the University of Miami because it was his birthday, and I wanted to take a bunch of pictures of everyone in the studio and him and make a little poster together. And from those pictures, we were just I took a bunch of pictures. He was talking against the wall, and he's also a chain smoker. So I had wonderful pictures for the poster, but then from the conversation, there was this one in which he looks very determined and points at you with a cigarette. So I made this t-shirt design, and of course he had a lot of time laughing when I was walking around wearing that actually in school. But also after I did my Carnegie Hall debut, the next morning I went to the door and took this picture. So yes, Something to laugh about.
Yeah,
This is my husband and I. We went to Metropolitan Opera to see Fidelio, and I just love this picture.
yeah,
And it's just us.
beautiful.
And this is a very special picture for me personally. It is a congregational church at Coral Gables in Miami.
Beautiful.
It is
I
a
love the space.
It's a beautiful space. It
Mm,
sounds beautiful there. It's very inspiring. The chandeliers are so
yeah,
beautiful. It has a wonderful Bösendorfer piano, and this is the opening night of the concert that I was starting my series of six recitals in which I was playing complete Rachmaninoff piano works back in 2023. It was a concert in January, and I was playing the early cycles. I was playing the five pieces opus 3 and the 10 pieces opus 7, and then following sorry, 7 pieces opus 10. And then followed by Mamang Musical. That was first stone in that building for me.
great. Wonderful. So we have one more video of Isa performing Tchaikovsky 18 Marceau Opus 72. Take a look. Wonderful, Isa. Thanks so much for joining us. I truly enjoyed your story and details of your life. Very inspiring. We're wishing you all the best and all your future projects, endeavors, performances. And we thank our audience for watching and wishing everyone a great rest of your July. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.